Hey guys, I just had the most successful run of games of my entire life, like ever. I was like this close to calling it quits, guys. I was like, I haven't won a match in like weeks. It's time for me to call it quits. And then this angel, this absolute angel on our Facebook, on the Facebooks, says, "Hey, Master Fija, check this shit out." And I'm like, "Yo, what up, Zan? What are you throwing at me this time?" He's like, "Bro, you ever heard of this little thing called life gain?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Do you want to win a game using it?" And I'm like, You can't win a game winning life." And he's like, "Yes, you can." And then he gave me the idea for this Brunhild deck. His version was a little bit different. It had more protection for a specific resonator that I'm gonna show you guys in a little bit. But the core mechanics are still in here, some of the best cards, and Nova can attest to this. I was not on board for the new IU. I thought the new IU was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But like, it saved my life so many times. The new IU is actually just good, unless you're going up against a Mephistopheles or anything that stops like enter the field abilities. This deck does not do good against hand control and field control, or enter the field ability control. So. Okay, the deck is Brunhild. Brunhild's crazy life gain and win deck.
Okay, the hand control, I'm gonna say one thing.
Yeah.
It does not do well against hard hand control.
Hard hand control.
Against something like my deck, my Lucifer deck, which has mediocre hand control, you did fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, you only had like 5 or 6 cards.
You delayed it long enough to the point where...
Oh yeah, I could have won faster if you didn't completely annihilate my first turn hand. So, Brunhild, she is a Valkyrie ruler, which is super important for a card I'll show you guys later, but she's Valkyrie on both sides. It's kind of like how Freyla is a dark elf on both sides. She's got Divinity 10, which is, you know, same as everything else, and she's the medium Judgment cost, so she's not Judgment 3 or Judgment 5, she's Judgment 4. 2 light and 2 colorless, and Energize for light. On her flip side, she becomes Brunhild, Caller of the Spirits. She is a 12/12 flyer, still Divinity 10 Valkyrie, and enter the ability having put target resonator from your graveyard into the field. So, yeah, she's beefy, she's 12, she's one of the strongest, not the strongest, and she's got flying, like she's good. But the thing is that you go up against any darkness deck, the second you flip her, she's dead.
Yeah.
Like that's...
Let's assume they have Sword of Lament.
That's just how they do it. They're gonna have Sword of Lament.
I'm not gonna say they're not.
That's what they're likely to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so I broke up the deck into cost, so I'm just gonna kind of go up in cost, but I will flip cards in and out to explain the combos that I came up with and the combos that Zan came up with. So in our versus videos, you guys might see either Miscalculation or a card that I keep in sideboard, which is Sealing the Gates of Darkness. Sealing the Gates of Darkness I only put into the deck, and I replace the 3 Miscalculations if I'm going up against a deck that specifically has Jean d'Arc Mad Maiden, just because destroying her doesn't do anything. You want to remove her from game, so this is a sideboard card, even though I technically don't have a solid sideboard yet. I'll put one together later. But in the main deck, when I'm not going up against Jean's, I run 3 Miscalculations. They're a 1 light cost quick cast chant, destroy target attacking resonator. So I run 3 of those guys. They are pretty good. Then I run 3, and I run 1 beautiful full art of the chant Resuscitating Will. It's a quick cast aura chant. Recover target J/resonator. Pretty much what you're doing is you're going to be recovering stuff with drain or just really big beat sticks, and the turns where your opponent has tapped out everything or you've managed to clear the board of any major presence, you're just going to keep swinging and potentially do a lot of damage, potentially gain a lot of life. Now, one of the big problems with this deck is that the resonator you want to keep alive, which I'm going to cover next year, is kind of a big target. So the way that I get around that is that I run 4 Flourishing Hopes. Now, Flourishing Hope is a 1-drop light quick cast chant with the following ability: target J/resonator, so you can use it on Brunhild on her J side as well. Gains this card cannot be destroyed until the end of turn, then remove this card, inverted from the game. So you have to play it, it can't be removed from your grave from discard. that has happened to me before. You need to play it and then it gets removed. And then when you remove it, it inverts. And on its inverse side, it becomes Burgeoning Despair, which is a 3-cost, 1 darkness, and 2 colorless Chant inverse quick cast. Play this card only from the removed area. Target player banishes 2 Resonators. So because of our stone base only having light in it, and then having Stones of Hope, which also inverse, and on their inverse side having darkness and light for their tap, the only time we'll be able to play this card is once we flipped over Brunhild if we had some Stones of Hope on the field. And this is more just a technical thing rather than a tactic thing. Once you've played it on its inverse side, it inverses back to Flourishing Hope and it goes to grave. I mean, you can't play it anymore unless you had Spinning Aqua Soul or something that gave a card remnant or put it back to your hand, but it does end up in your grave once you've used it. So I run 4 Flourishing Hopes. Now, the main Resonator in this deck, and the one that is an absolute nightmare to keep alive, Nova laughing at me because this is his main target, I run 4 Angels of Hope. It is a 1-drop Angel Resonator for 2/3, and it's cool because it actually works really well with the synergy of this deck. A Resonator I'll show you guys later. Her being an Angel is just good. So she's got Flying and Drain, possibly one of my favorite combo of techniques in this card game, with the ability whenever you do Judgement of a ruler, invert this card. I'll show you guys the inverse in a second. And whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this card. As you'll see throughout the deck build, there are so many avenues for gaining life in this deck that this thing actually becomes really big if you have things like Flourishing Hope or some other cards I'll show you to keep it alive. So, I've actually never been able to do this. I've never been able to inverse it because it always dies before I Judgment. But on the opposite side, it becomes Angel of Despair, which is a 4/5. It keeps its 1/1 counters. It's an Angel inverse Resonator with Flying. It loses its Drain, unfortunately. When this card inverts, destroy target Resonator if there is a 1/1 counter on this card. So if your opponent has Field Presence, once you flip over Brunhild onto her J side, if you had an Angel of Despair, let's say you had 3 counters, whatever, she flips over, she's getting a blanket +3/+3, so she becomes a 7/8, and you just killed something. So it's a pretty good tactic if you can keep her around long enough. So I run 4 of Angels of Hope. Now, another card that I use to keep her alive is Protection of the Angels. It is a 1-drop quick cast light chant. Play this card only during your opponent's turn. Target Resonator, so it's not J unfortunately, gains +8/+8 and barrier until the end of turn. Players cannot chase this card. That's super important because if you're going up against a Keurig deck and Keurig flips over and you're going for those remove 5 counters, remove 5 counters, remove 5 counters to do the damage to kill and then for them to swing, they can't, because you pretty much interrupt with Protection of the Angels, keep whatever you're trying to keep alive. You can use it to block, and it also has barrier, so it can't be chased. It's a pretty good way to keep Angel of Hope and other Resonators in this deck alive. This card is going to be super important for a combo I'll show you guys in a little while. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll show you guys now. Okay, the combo I'm thinking about is with a card that, unfortunately, Zan, for some reason, didn't decide to put into the deck, but I love this card. I run 3 of Xiang, the Holy Prince, in beautiful full art. It is a 3-drop Panda Resonator for 2 light and 1 colorless. He's an 8/8, and he has literally a small thesis statement for his ability. The ability is, when this card enters the field, reveal any number of pandas from your hand. You gain 200 life for each card revealed this way. This is the only panda we run in the deck, so if you have 2 in your hand, you can have that ability, but it's not really important. The second part is the best part. Whenever you gain life, you may banish a light gem. If you do, this card deals damage to target Resonator equal to the amount of life you gained. So this is how the combo works. I like to have Xiang already on the field. My opponent goes to swing, and I do Protection of the Angels onto Xiang, giving him +8/+8 and barrier, which means that he's a 16/16. You can use him to block if you'd like, but what I like to do is to cast the card Spear of the Valkyries, which I'm gonna go over a little bit, but what it does is it's a quick cast Chant Rune for 2, 1 light and 1 colorless. This card deals damage equal to the highest attack among J Resonators you control to target J Resonator, so you choose which one. If you do control a Valkyrie, which you do at all times, if you run Brunhild, you gain that much life. So the cool thing to do is, he's a 16/16. You do Spear of the Valkyries, you do that damage to something, you just did 16 damage, and you gain 16 life. Then you remove one of the light gems you produce with the stones that we run in the deck, and do 16/16 to another thing. And then you can block with him. So you essentially just got rid of 3 potential bodies.
Master Feature. Nova has a dumb question.
What? What's up?
This card set cannot be chased.
Yes.
Does that mean that you personally can't play stuff on top of it?
Well, no, because the stack would end once you've done this. So he's got defense, whatever, that's the end of that. The chase would be if somebody wants to interrupt this card, or if they want to kill this card.
Okay.
So that would be the end of, I don't know, I'm not using the right word here, it's not the end of priority, but it's the end of that chase.
Okay. So
Then
you're playing that on a completely separate thing.
This is on a completely different stack.
Okay.
Yeah. So I run 3 of Xiang. Oh, and he's got one more ability that I don't ever use, but it's good. He's got the God's Art Ra's Blessing for 7, so this would be stupid late game. Your life becomes 4,000. Wow, I could have done that against Lucifer. Oh my god, I gotta learn how to read cards. So yeah, for 7, you can put your life back to the original total. So yeah, woo.
See, in all honesty, you know what?
We're learning together. We're learning together.
But in all, I'm not gonna say it.
Don't say in all honesty. Yeah.
4,000. Like when you're low on health, and you draw this card, and you're like next turn. If you don't, and somebody does.
Yeah, if you got him on the field and it's your turn, even if you're not gonna be able to play anything, just like boop, I'm back to 40. Have fun whittling me down for the next 3 turns. Which is crazy in this deck, because I've already got a ridiculous amount of life gain.
I'm gonna be quiet, because you're gonna get to that.
Here's the important part, though. It says your life becomes 4,000, so I don't gain 4,000. So if I'm already at 59 life, I don't want to do that.
Agreed.
So
only if you're below.
Yes. So I run 3 of Xiang, the Holy Prince. And then for that combo I just explained to you guys, I run 4 of the Spear of Valkyries. If I can actually pull them all out here. And it's such a good card. Like, there are times where I've had really weak Resonators, so this isn't like a guaranteed kill spell all the time, but it is another avenue for gaining life that I talked about earlier. So I run 4 of those guys.
Oh, whoops.
Oh yeah, just earthquakes. We get them in Canada all the time. And then this is the card that I was really hesitant about before. Like this was the black sheep of the deck. I kind of didn't really see the usefulness, but once you get later game and you've got a ridiculous amount of available will to play, this thing becomes stupid good. So the card I'm talking about is Ayu, the Mysterious Wanderer. It is a 2-drop Were-Rabbit 6/6 Resonator for 2 light. It's got quick cast, super important for its combos, and it's got the ability tap, return this card to owner's hand, and its enter ability is you gain X life, where X is the number of runes revealed from your rune area. Most of the runes in this deck are really cheap. They're just like stupid cheap. So by like turn 5 or 6, we've already used all of them. So essentially this card is good because you can play it for 2, pass turn, and then once you've got priority, you just tap her, bring her back to hand, and then quick cast her again. And if you've got 4 of your 5 available runes played, in the span of like a turn and a half, you just gained 8 life. You don't really want to use her as a blocker because you want to be able to keep cycling her back to hand and getting more and more life. And then if you've got an Angel of Hope on the field, it just keeps making that thing bigger and bigger and bigger. But you could use her as a blocker if you really needed to. So I run 4 of the Ayu, the Mysterious Wanderer, 2 in gorgeous full art. What's on your mind, Nova? You got like a very questiony looking face.
No, nothing. You were talking about more draw, so I have an idea for more draw.
Okay. And then this is kind of a throwaway. This is a good Resonator, but it's not really anything special towards the combo of the deck, other than I'm pretty sure that when Zan first put this into his deck build, the reason why was because you can quick cast this Resonator and use it to block for Angel of Hope if you really wanted to, though it's a good Resonator just on its own. I'm gonna butcher this name, and I apologize. I think it's Phaleg. Phaleg, the Angel of War. It's an 8/8 Angel Resonator with quick cast, flying, and first strike for 3 light. And another cool thing about this card, that's another card in our 3 slot, is that the big kind of like beat stick, just on its own without getting any buffs, in this deck is Ophiel, Angel of Guidance. Now, she is a 5-drop, so pretty big. 2 light, 3 colorless, 12/12 Angel Resonator with flying, and the important thing being her enter ability. Search your deck for an angel, not named Ophiel, so you can't keep cycling it, with total cost X or less, where X is the number of light runes revealed from your rune area, and put it into the field and then shuffle your deck. So the highest number of runes we can do, just because of the limitations of Divinity 10 in this particular deck, is 4. Like, it doesn't matter what combination you do, it's always going to be 4. So really, the strongest angel we can pull out of our deck when she hits the field is going to be Phaleg.
I can make it 5 for your runes.
Yes, and actually, you know what? Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it.
In the original version of this deck that I got from Zan when he messaged us, he ran Sandstorm in there as well, which is Divinity 1, and you can play this for free just to do 200 damage to each Resonator your opponent controls. It's not a bad card, and he was going off of the idea of getting as much value out of IU as possible, so you can get all 5, and you can play this for stupid cheap, or for free.
You play it for free.
You can play it turn 1 if they've got like really weak stuff on the field, like the Scorpion or whatever. I think he's got lower defense, 100 defense. So this is a good card. I don't personally run it. So, yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say. And then this is the most recent addition to the deck. This wasn't in the first versus when I was going up against Nova and his Lucifer deck, is Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles is a 3-drop for 2 light and 1 colorless Demon Resonator with 8/8. He's got the following abilities. Whenever you do Judgment of a ruler, invert this card, so sometimes. And J/Resonators your opponent's control enter the field rested. You're pretty much never attacking with this guy, unless you're attacking to win. This dude has to stay alive. Yep. He just has to. If you do get the inverse side, he inverses and becomes Mephistopheles. So he becomes himself. Demon Inverse for 10/10, flying, so he gains flying. This is one of the only Resonators in my deck that doesn't have flying. J/Resonators your opponent's control gain a blanket -2/-2 at all times. Resonators entering the field under your opponent's control do not cause their own enter abilities to trigger. So pretty much this is a great way to say, hey, Belial, no. Bad, stop. So I run 3 Mephistopheles. And actually on the subject of Resonators that don't have flying, we're getting pretty close to the end of this deck build. My last 2 Resonators are Sigrun, I thought it was Sigrun for a second there. Sigrun, Valkyrie of Victory. It's a 4-drop 10/10 Valkyrie Resonator for 2 light and 2 colorless. This card gains Eternal during your turn. And whenever this card attacks, rest target J/Resonator. So she's pretty much like an updated version of the old Lapis Cluster Sylvia. And like I was saying, that's the last of the Resonators, and the only 2 Resonator slots in my deck that don't have flying are Xiang and Mephistopheles. So that's 6 of the Resonators in this deck. But the last 2 cards in this deck are Voyage to the Floating Isle, which is a regular speed chant for 1 light. Search your deck for a Resonator with flying, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So if early game, I have one of these in my hand, but I didn't pull an Angel of Hope, I can ideally play this and then turn 2 play Angel of Hope. Or I can look up one of my Ophiels if I need to later game, or just stuff like that. Like, I can search them out. I only run 2, and it's actually worked pretty good. Like, I haven't had problems without running 3 or more. Okay, let's get to the runes. Runes, I run 5, obvious. I run Ring of the Legend. Now, this is kind of a toss-up. Usually I use this very early game. If there's crazy amounts of aggro against Angel of Hope or something like that, I'll use this to keep it alive. Or I can use it in combination with another one of the runes, which is Odin's Judgement, because it gives Eternal to target Resonator until the end of turn. And then if I run Odin's Judgement on that same turn, you can only use it if you're running Brunhild and destroy all Resonators. So you can give one of your Resonators Eternal, wipe the rest of the field, and you still have something around. I run Dispel because it has good synergy with Life Gain, and potentially if I'm going up against a Time-Spinning Witch and she's got Diversity Palace on the field and gives everything flying and barrier, I can destroy that one because it has, for 1 light, Divinity 2 quick cast. Choose 1, destroy target addition, or you gain 1,000 life. Most of the times we're gonna gain the 1,000 life. And then another fun combo, I'm just full of fun combos today. I can run Dispel, and then if I have a Xiang on the field, before that, I would gain 1,000 life, I remove 1 counter, and then do 1,000 damage to something. I have wanted to set up that so many times, but I always use this too early game. So, I don't know, maybe hold on to that for a little bit later. Another card that could work with that is Whispers of an Angel. It is 3 cost, 1 light, and 2 colorless, but if I'm playing it from my rune area, it becomes a 1 cost for 2 divinity. It has gain 800 life, draw a card. So again, you can do 800 damage to something and draw a card. This is the only card in the entire deck that draws me cards.
Yeah.
I have 1 draw card. And then the final of the rune cards is Blessing of the Sun. It's Chant rune for 2 divinity, for 2 light. Though it has the ability, you may pay 1 less to play this card from your rune area, so it's a 1 cost in this deck. J/Resonators, you control, gain +2/+2, and at the next end of turn, recover this card until the end of turn. It's just quality, just a really good card. Stones, you're gonna laugh at me because I don't actually have any of the stones. I run 2 basic light magic stones, nothing to scoff at there. And then I run some beautiful proxied stones with horrible handwriting and horrible spelling. I run 4 ore from the treasure mountain, and pretty much it taps to produce 1 light, and when it hits the field, I gain 1 light gem. It's Panda Stone. I never bought the Panda deck, so the only way I can get this is if I buy a Panda deck or if I get the promos from my local store, because they did have the promos of the stone.
Did they?
Yeah, they got promo stones.
Seen them.
No, they got them. He never takes them out. Like, we just ask for them because they're older cards. We keep trying to get the new ones. And then I run 4 beautiful magic stones of hope. Essentially, they just tap for light on the one side, and then they inverse once you do the judgment. And on their inverse side, you can tap them for light and darkness. This is the deck. You gain an unbelievable amount of life. And then if you use Xiang and your Angel of Hope becomes really strong, and you can win.
You missed 1 combo you do all the time, which is IU, the card you hated.
No, I talked about it. Where you play her, you tap her, you bring her back, play her again, tap her, bring her back.
You can't tap her again unless you have Resuscitating Will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically.
No, it's crazy. So yeah, I wasn't like crazy excited about this ruler. Like, I knew she was a big beat stick. But this is really good. It's good. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
I like the ruler. I've been meaning to build like a darkness light deck, but it's really hard right now.
Give us dual stones, Falco.
Yeah.
Give us dual stones. Actually, don't give us dual stones, because then this set would be ridiculous. But give us dual stones.
All right. We'll see you guys in this next video.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Peace. We'll do the thing. Bye.